Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Future Females Show.
This show is all about celebrating and reframing success and really just showcasing the stories and strategies and businesses of women changing the game in their industries.
And today, we are talking about something that is very close to my heart, which is conscious business. What is conscious business, and how do you create a conscious business of your own?
And we have a very special guest here with us, tuning in from Johannesburg. It is none other than Sherie, also known as Palesa, who is founder and CEO of Palesa Pads. Sherie, thank you so much for joining us.
We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies, for having me. It's an honor.
So, you've been in the business, Palesa Pads, for 5 years now, and I know you are both a social enterprise and a foundation that is really tackling many problems. But in the sanitary world, let's say, you are tackling the cost of sanitary products. You are tackling the accessibility of girls to be able to go to school during their period. And you're also tackling huge environmental issues when you look at other available products on the market. So I really want to get into all of these, but I think I would love to just start with you sharing your personal story. What led you to starting Palesa Pads 5 years ago?
So my background is actually in finance. I'm an accountant by trade. I started off as a maths teacher, believe it or not. Love kids, really value education. But I ended up in the corporate world. And in my previous job, I was in software development, funny enough. And I was traveling all over Africa selling software. And during my travels, I really discovered poverty on another level. And it was really getting to me. And I just started feeling like, I need to do something with purpose, something to do, something to change this. And while I was trying to research to find out what I could do, I actually discovered that girls were missing school because they didn't have sanitary pads. And I was horrified. I just thought, it's crazy. That thought has never crossed my mind. I've never gone without sanitary pads. And what would I have done if I didn't have any? And I started researching it to see what girls were doing. Oh, and the reality was shocking, hey? Rags, toilet paper, newspaper, terrible things.
It's absolutely shocking. I know I was as shocked as you when I found that out, but an average of 3 to 5 days a month are missed by girls in Africa because they don't have access to pads. I mean, this is something we completely take for granted, so this is amazing.
Correct. I mean, I thought back to my girls at school who were using toilet paper, and I never stopped to question why they were using toilet paper. And when I realized this, I actually started crying. I thought, if only I'd known that. I would have bought them pads. I didn't know. And I think it's one of these things, once you know it, you can't unknow it. And I'm a big champion for female empowerment every way. I never realized that being a female is a disadvantage until I was in my 30s. I was raised to believe, that I'm top of the world. That's all I need to know.
You're in good company with that,
Yeah,
Sherie.
definitely in good company.
Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I never felt disadvantaged by being a woman. I grew up in a good family like that. And I just feel that other women should have the same. So I started looking into what I could do to help. And I thought disposable pads just don't make sense because you've got to constantly donate, constantly deliver. And what do you do if the girl starts her period, you're not there, you couldn't make it this month? What a disappointment, disappointment after disappointment. And that was when I actually came across reusable sanitary pads. And I remember my grandmother talking about them. She used to make her own. And so I started researching it, and I found that they've made a big comeback all over America and Canada and, a lot of the first world countries. It's a norm. And so I thought, well, let's look in South Africa. And the ones that I found here were really not great. They were very poor quality. And I thought, well, I would never wear that. And if I'm not going to wear it, I can ask the girls to wear it. So I started making my own. Fortunately, I know how to sew. I love my granny as well. And so I just started, and I started making my own pads, trying it out, tested it out for 6 months on myself. I'll never forget the day I tried that first pad. I tell you, I was a tampon user, and I sat on the toilet with this tampon that I know and trust, and this pad that I've just made. I don't know if I made it right. I don't know anything about it. I've never done this. And I thought, I have to do this. I've got to do this for the girls. I put it on. Oh, and what a life-changing experience. It was so comfortable. And I set out to find the right combination. It took me a while. It took me 6 months to get the right combinations of fabric for comfort and easy washing and things like that. But yeah, here we are. And after about 6 months after I started the company, I actually quit my job and went full-time, and here we are, Palesa Pads.
That is so exciting.
It's so amazing. That's another thing we have in common, by the way. My granny also taught me how to sew. So it's such a great skill to have.
I love it. It's essentially the family business before you even knew it.
My granny's not around anymore, but I think she'd be so proud of me, you know, using my sewing skills to do something like this. And it's something that she used to wear. I think she'd be so proud of me if she had to see it now. So,
Absolutely, she would. And I mean, I'm sure you can share your stats better than I can, but one of the things I read on your website is that you have helped, is it now over 100,000 schoolgirls and over 100 million pads staying out of, I guess, dumps all around the world.
100 million pads.
Insane. Please tell us, like,
Wow.
how have you grown in the past 5 years? What are those like really big stats and problems that you have been able to address?
You know, the first thing I wanted to achieve actually was to make the product really easy to make for mass production, because I knew that I wanted to go big. And if you look at what you find online with the tutorials, it's more people making pads at home. So there was quite a lot of changes I had to make to the design and things like that to get it ready for mass production. That was the one thing. But the biggest thing was the cost. You know, most people take their, and I mean, I'm an accountant, I should know better, but you know, my heart pulled in one direction. Most people take their cost and double it, and that makes their price, you know, and if I had done that, these would have been unaffordable. So I actually took a different approach. I looked at this and I said, what is the price that somebody would be willing to pay for this? That it's sort of, you know, it's so affordable, but it's not too cheap that it's going to work out. What is the right price? And I actually I started at the selling price, and then I worked backwards. And I thought, I'm going to make the best product I can, best quality that I can, and I'll figure out later how to make it cheaper. And that's exactly what I did. You know, just for example, cutting, we used to cut by hand. And I mean, I used to pay quite a lot because I actually pay my staff per piece. So talking about your conscious business, I'll come to that. But they get paid per piece, and it was costing me a fortune for them cutting the scissors. So I got smarter and smarter and smarter. Now I've got a fancy laser cutter. And I've saved about 90% of the labor cost on cutting just alone. You know, just in things like that, and getting smarter with the fabrics and stuff like that to bring the cost down. Unfortunately, it's caught up with me in 5 years. Eventually, the cost of, you know, I can't run away from it anymore. But yeah, I mean, that is just, you know, that was sort of how I started. And I just wanted to make it exciting. I didn't want anybody to be embarrassed about their period. I wanted them to be excited and proud of it, and just be another day, not let it be an issue in your life. You know, let's just carry on like it's any other day. That was my goal. So here we are. Hey?
Beautiful.
I think that is absolutely beautiful. I really believe that we need to speak more about, because there obviously is this theme, period poverty, where, you know, women are not supposed to have periods, and it's some shameful thing that we bleed, you know. And the reality is, if we didn't bleed, there would be no children. There will be no reproduction going on, you know. So it's such a normal way of life. And I know in the old days, they used to actually have something called the red tents. I don't know if you know about the red tents, Lauren. I don't know if you know about the red tents, but
I know about a menstruation hut. I don't know if it's the same.
So yes, it's a similar thing. So the women would, at certain times of the month, they would go to the red tents, and they would be surrounded by women who would really support them through that time of just feeling uncomfortable, feeling a little bit more sensitive, feeling a bit more tender, and having this thing going on with their bodies that they couldn't control, but was very much a part of the natural cycle. And the men knew to just stay away and let them be.
That does sound really nice, though.
And now we kind of don't do anything like that. So I really honor you for creating a product that makes it more comfortable. I really also honor you for creating something that is sustainable. Do you have some stats around how many pads, tampons women use normally in a monthly cycle versus now having the opportunity to use one of your pads?
Certainly. So we work on about 16 pads per cycle, because if you change your pad every 6 hours, which is stretching it quite a bit with disposable pads, you're still looking at 4 pads a day. On a 4-day cycle, you're looking at 16 pads. So it's somewhere between 16 and 20 pads per month, So it works out to between 9,600 and 11,000 pads over your lifetime. Assuming you don't fall pregnant and things like that, you have a period every month. With each one of our Palesa pads, each one of them can be used up to 200 times. So a bucket like ours, which contains 6 pads, replaces 1,200 disposable pads, at least. That was how we get to...
Wow.
Oh my God.
And to date, we've produced over 650,000 pads and sold them. And that is how we get to the number of 130 million disposable pads that we've managed to keep out of the environment. 650,000 times 200. So, yeah, it's...
I know,
That is just
so
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah,
I'm
we really
blown
want to
away.
celebrate that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And only 5 years for those kind of results is just insane.
Amazing.
This is what we call a champagne moment.
This is a
Sherie.
hell yeah.
We should have prepped you to bring...
I'll drink some water.
Yes, please do. We'll have to send you a champagne for later. Sherie, I think what's so beautiful about your business is, of course, the product itself and the purpose. But I want to come back to something you said, which is that you were able to quit your job after 6 months. And I think coming from a business that is also for profit and for purpose, we often have people really feeling passionate about helping in one particular problem they're seeing in the world, but feeling like, it will be a not-for-profit and I need to make my money first before I can start solving this. And that's part of why I'm so excited to dig a little bit into your business model if you're comfortable, because how did you build it in a way that is sustainable financially as well and scalable to the extent that it has grown?
Well, let me be honest, it wasn't easy, hey? First of all, I had a very, very good job before I started Palesa Pads, and I had a lot of money. I had no debts. I had savings, and so on and so forth. So I actually didn't take a salary for the first 3 years of the business. I put quite a lot of money in, and I was taking it out bit by bit, So it took the company 3 years to pay me back, and then I started earning a salary. And I can tell you that the business could feel the pinch in just having to take my salary. And my salary isn't even what it was 7 years ago. I'm still at a lower salary than I was 7 years ago. So it's not what I should be earning, market related, let's put it that way. And we had a lot of hardships, I lost my house. I nearly lost my car twice. I went from a beautiful credit score to like nobody wanted to touch me. So I'm back now. And I want to just say that I've kept my car for 6 years now. I've managed to hold on to it, and I managed to buy myself a new house finally this year. Small little townhouse, but it doesn't matter. It's mine.
Yeah.
So another thing also, and I think some people, those who are married have an advantage. And I don't want to say that men are the answer here, but having it is, even if you're married to a woman, that's just as good an advantage, right? But having a second income makes such a difference. If somebody's able to pay the bills and do those things, it makes such a difference. With me, I'm single, so I don't have that. And I'm always the last to be paid in the business. So it's been really, really, really tough. I mean, there have been times where my family was buying me groceries, times where I was living in a back room behind a property, and my neighbor's dogs were cooing.
But you kept going.
But you kept going. Yeah,
And
I think
that's
that's
really matters.
I think that is the real important point, Lauren. And I know you've brought it up a number of times, but I do want to reiterate: you kept going. And now you're at a place where you've got your own home, you've got your car, you've got everything kind of sorted. And how many stores did we say that your pads are in now?
834.
834 stores. So it clearly is growing now at a much faster rate, getting you into more stores, right? And hopefully that will just double.
You've got to be realistic about it. And I always tell people, I had some entrepreneurs here the other day. I've hired some graduates from the entrepreneurial training college up the road, and they're working here, and I work very closely with them. And they asked me the other day, what is the best advice you can give for a business owner? And I said, to me, it's do what you love. Do what you would be willing to do for free, because you might very well have to do it for free for a long time. So I really believe that.
Well, I think that's such a great point to make as well, because one of the things that we constantly are looking at is reframing success. You know, so success for certain people might be a huge house. For success for other people might be a townhouse. You know,
Or
and
helping
I actually
100,000 girls.
or
be able
helping
to go to
100,000
school.
girls go to school. And I
Yes.
read a quote the other day that was so I loved it. It said, "Adulting, I've discovered, is actually just having a home that is my own." And having work that means something to me. And the older I get, the more I feel like that is adulting to me. And I thought that was so beautiful. And I love all different versions of success. So what is your version of success? How do you define success for yourself?
For me, success is happiness, peace, completeness, definitely all about the environment. I love my garden. I compost everything. I could go on about that for another session. But it's also about making a difference. You know, if I look at the ladies that work here, most of them never even touched a sewing machine before they got here.
Oh, wow.
We taught them how to sew, we taught them everything. And not just that, we have a very big culture of love in our company. So our principles are not like, be on time for work. This obviously you must be on time for work, but it's more like love, forgiveness, support, encouragement, complimenting one another, helping one another, supporting one another. And what I've noticed is not only have the ladies done so well professionally, but in their personal lives, they've changed. Some of them got just so angry and broken, and some of them have been beaten by their husbands and worse. And they've turned around. I mean, one lady managed to walk away from an abusive relationship. She made enough money here, and she had confidence from being here around us that she left him. She left him, and she's on her own with her kids, and she's so happy. She started her own business. Lots of these people have started their own businesses. One is selling eggs, the other one's selling peanut butter, all sorts of things. And that to me is that it's not just paying a salary, hiring people. There's upliftment, there's empowerment, and people's lives are being changed. So to me, and at the same time, nobody's being, what's the word I'm looking for? I won't say disadvantaged, but that is the word. What do you call it when you...
Taken advantage of?
Yeah.
Word. But nobody's being disadvantaged in the process. So everybody, we treat our suppliers properly, we treat our staff properly, we treat our customers properly, you know, and so it goes on. And for me, getting that balance right and staying sane is success to me.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful version of success.
Yeah, and it's also a beautiful definition of conscious business because, you know, what strikes me is if you have a practical solution to very real world problems, but it's also a lot of it is an emotional solution.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, it's not just about your end user, it is actually about everyone who has a hand in your brand, in your community, in your supply chain, in your distribution, the whole way along. So I love that you are so consciously considering that at every path.
I think it's absolutely, it's such a beautiful demonstration of conscious business, you know, not only caring about the environment, but caring about the emotional impact and care of the people, you know, so I love it so much. Thank you so much. You are amazing. And I really do wish you go from strength to strength. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. I do have another question, which is just, you've achieved a lot in 5 years, and I'm sure you always hear people say that, but having known you for a short time, I'm sure this is just scratching the surface for you. So can you tell us, where do you see Palesa Pads growing into in, say, the next few years?
I would love to expand our product range. First of all, I'd like to get us into more retail stores because we've seen that Ackermans has been a real success. So I'm working on other retailers to make the product more accessible. That's the one thing. I would like to be the household name for cloth pads. I don't want to be the only one. That's silly. But I want to be the one that's known. So yeah, I would like to do that, and I would like to expand our range. You know, we have maternity pads, which I don't know if you're aware of. So I wanted to talk about the packaging if you give me a minute, but I'll get there.
Oh, please, yeah.
But we've got maternity pads as well as our normal 4 sizes of pads. We've got breast pads, which I'd like to start marketing. Nappies, we started on nappies, but we had a bit of a snag, so we've just been back to the drawing board on that. I want to do armpit pads, you know, for people who perspire quite a bit.
Oh, wow.
We're trying to find ways to upcycle our scrap. You won't believe how serious I am about zero waste. You just see the pile of scrap there that we're trying to upcycle into face pads and armpit pads and anything you can make think of, dog beds, you name it. and just trying to work on all of that. And actually, I have an idea for reusable bandages, which I'm sort of got in there as well. It came from when I had a spider bite I had a spider bite on my panty line, and when this thing came out and it started, all the sort of liquid that comes out, there was nothing that could hold it. And I thought, what can absorb stuff near my panty? Palesa Pads. And I put my pad on and it sucked that spider bite dry.
You're like, lucky I know a lady.
Inspiration for a reusable bandage.
That is amazing. Well, that sounds like a very good vision and also something that's going to cater to a lot of people in the market. Let's go back to the term you use, zero waste. Yes. And firstly, I know you want to share about your packaging, but maybe you can talk more broadly about your zero waste strategy and how that fits in. And then part 2 to this question is going to be really just sharing with our audience how they can start approaching a zero waste strategy.
Yeah, I think that would be really, really important to share.
Zero waste is a journey, hey? I've realized that. It's something you do all the time. So, from reusable shopping bags, reusable coffee cups, reusable pads, reusable face wipes. I don't know if you guys have seen these reusable face wipes instead of cotton rounds. They're fantastic. I love them. I bought them. I love them. Composting at home, bokashi bins. There's so much that you can do all the time. So I take it very, very seriously. I compost everything. It's a big joke. In fact, because I wanted to make sure that all our packaging was biodegradable. So I took it home and I shredded it up and put it in my own compost bin to see if it broke down. And it did. Oh, wow. So I can truly say it's biodegradable. I think zero waste is a mindset. It's a case of being, reusing things wherever you can, trying to buy stuff more responsibly. Sometimes you just can't help it. But what we've done, for example, in our single K packaging, we went and used recycled and recyclable cardboard. And the same with our stuff. It's all gloss. There's nothing laminate. Even our boxes, it was a big requirement that there may not be laminate on here. It has to be gloss, and all those kinds of things. But one of the biggest things that we've done is this little bag. So with Palesa Pad, you don't actually need to have a bag to put your pad in, because the way the pad folds up, it folds up into its own little bag. You see, it's quite cute.
Brilliant.
So this is the pad.
I love it.
It's very cute. It sort of folds around your panties like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when it's full, it just falls back up. So you don't need a bag at all. But with retail, you have to have it in a bag on the shelf and so on. So with that, I didn't want to use single-use plastic, and I had a bit of a fight with some of the other decision makers, and I said, look, you guys can say what you like. I'm not putting this stuff in plastic bags. I refuse. So you can send me all your documents. I don't care. I'm not doing it. And and that is how we ended up with these bags.
Wow.
And it's basically just a pretty little bag, that you don't really need, but it's handy because then you can put your pad in here, when it's full if you want to. But the beautiful part about it is that it actually then looks nice on the shelf. So you get the little bag, you get the brochure inside. But one thing I'm really proud of, and I want to zoom in to show you. Do you see that thing over there?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse my terrible nails. Do you see that there?
The up to
So
12
hours of use.
Amazing. So you've doubled the usage time.
Yeah, I didn't want to put clips or staples or anything crazy like that on it. So we found a stitch on a sewing machine that could do that.
Oh wow!
So
the stitch. That is incredible. My gosh! So every piece of your packaging is truly biodegradable and sustainable. Congratulations.
Exactly.
That is really amazing. I would love to ask you, because I think that I can definitely see I'm on that journey as well. Like I try and reduce, reuse, recycle, as much as I possibly can. But I think a lot of people out there they get overwhelmed. They don't know where to start. What would be possibly the first step that you could say to people, guys, I know this whole thing is really overwhelming, but just start here. What would your tip be for everybody?
Well, I think you start with what you use the most. So if you're somebody who drinks coffee every day and you go to the coffee shop with a cup, get yourself a reusable cup. I drink tea all day long, and I found that the tea bags are not biodegradable, so I moved to loose tea to avoid that. I drink a lot of tea, so I have a reusable cup. Obviously, the pads, definitely, but if you're a man, you can't use pads. Oh, I've got a plan for a reusable condom. Watch this space. I'm going to do it. I've got it. I'm telling you, I've got it. But it's in my mind. I'm going to still make it. Yeah. So, but look, I think, definitely on sanitary pads, plastic bags, packaging, things like that, sometimes not that possible. But one thing I wanted to say about cloth pads, and this actually you didn't mention in the beginning, is the health benefits of cloth pads. So many people think it's just about saving money or it's just about saving the environment. And there's a certain sector of people who care about saving money. And there's a certain sector of people who care about saving the environment, and some care about both. But a lot of people just don't. And one of the things that I really put forward on these is the health benefits, and that is the fact that there's no chemicals in here. I could send you articles about the number of chemicals that are in these disposable products, and it's shocking. Things like acetone, chlorine, chloroform, crazy things. And interestingly, the gynecologists have now discovered that your vulva and your vagina walls, your vaginal walls, can absorb much better than your oral tract. So what they're starting to do now with women with hormone replacement therapies, they're actually giving them creams and things to insert rather than oral medication, because it absorbs so much quicker. Now, if you take, I think it's up to 80 times quicker or more effectively. Now, if you think about that, you can't drink acetone, you can't drink chloroform, you can't drink bleach. Yet you are taking a product that is absolutely doused in the stuff and inserting it or putting it wherever, and it causes so many problems. I only use Palesa Pads, and I have been for 5 years. And in this 5 years, there was 1 month my period started and I didn't have a pad on me, and I scratched in my handbag and I found an old tampon. And I put it in, and immediately the pain that I mistook for period pain came back immediately. Wow. It was a dull pain, but I just accepted it as period pain. And the minute I took it out, the pain was gone, and I thought, that's it, I'm never doing this again. I now have zero pain. Zero pain. Wow. There's no more smell. I don't know if you ladies know this. Did you know that smell of a period comes from the pads? Do you know that?
Wow, I did not know that.
No.
Yeah. If it ever happens to you again where you mess on your pajamas or your sheets or something, be brave and give it a whiff. You'll see there's no smell at all.
Be brave and give it a whiff, girls.
Give it a whiff. You'll just see there's no smell, because blood doesn't smell. It's the blood that mixes, and yet if you drop 2 little drops of blood on a disposable pad, there's that awful smell. And it's the blood that's mixing with the chemicals in those disposable pads that causes that smell, and even causes the horrible brown discharge you get for days and days and days. We don't have that anymore with cloth pads. So there's so many things that's more comfortable. You don't get rashes and irritations and infections and smells and stickiness. All of that disappears because you're not interfering with chemicals. It's just your body interacting with fabric that's got nothing on it. And your period becomes a completely different, an absolute delight. So that's over and above the environmental benefits, definitely. But back to that, definitely switch to cloth pads or mesh.
We were speaking about the fact that it's so much healthier for you. With the environmental impact that you are dealing with, and now you're dealing with health issues that are supporting women, and you're dealing with the fact that the packaging is biodegradable and all of these other things. What are some of the things that women should know going into it that maybe is it slightly different from using another? Is there a getting used to it phase, or is it just so easy and simple and comfortable that it's like, finally, I've arrived?
It's the latter, believe it or not. But I'll tell you what, I think it is, with us, most of us started on disposable products, and you had an older sister or a mother or somebody teach you, and you were taught that, the worst thing that can happen to you is to mess on fabric, right? Because it's such a mission to clean. And so to go and deliberately put a piece of fabric there and mess on it on purpose just seems counterintuitive. And that is also why we chose this fabric, because this fabric doesn't stain. I can actually show you a pad if you'd like to see one that's 5 years old. I've got one that's 3 years old, I've got one that's 5 years. But there's no stains on it, absolutely no stains at all, because of the type of fabric that we used. So that's already a big thing. And there's also this connotation that, it can't be hygienic. And then I sort of say to people, okay, well, if you ever mess on your panties, everybody has, and did you throw them away? No. Ta-da! You still wear those same panties, you wash them, they're fine. So it's a mindset, you've got to get used to it. That's the one thing. The second thing is also disposable pads have only been around about 100 years, and women have never had so many reproductive issues like that.
That's true.
For millennia, women have been using cloths and rags and things, obviously not dirty rags, you've got to keep it clean, right? My granny used to use old sheets, old linen that she cut into strips. And those women had many, many, many children with very little issues. So it's not like it's a new thing. It's not. It's going back, like so many things, going back to what works. So I always tell people, you just got to try it once. Just close your eyes, put it on, and the minute you put it on, you'll feel how comfortable it is, and you won't want to turn back again.
Amazing.
Relief,
I mean, Palesa, seriously, I'm having a mindset shift during this conversation because I personally did not know a lot of the health risks that we've been talking about. I think I'm one of your people that's fueled by convenience and by the way I've always done it. So really digging into this has been amazing. I do want to ask though, because I'm also very conscious about the environment, and I don't think that there's enough airtime given to, with the consumer hat on, where are we spending and how are we, if we're not positively contributing, we're negatively contributing, and that's not necessarily, there's not enough awareness around that. So what is the risk to the environment if we don't swap to a sustainable solution?
Oh man, just plastic upon plastic. I mean, imagine how many people are we in the world now? 8 billion people. So let's say 4 billion people times 11,000 pads each. It's insane. We just end up with a mountain of pads. And there's lots of problems with that, like they end up in the oceans, they pollute the oceans, they don't break down. I mean, that plastic lasts hundreds of years. You wear it for a few hours and it lasts hundreds and hundreds of years. It's full of chemicals. I don't know if you've heard about kids actually boiling up old pads and drinking the liquid to get high. I haven't heard about
Oh, no.
I can send you something
I
on
have not
that.
heard that.
Oh, wow.
Shocking. So that's also an issue. But also, in South Africa, and not just in all of Africa, right? In the rural areas, there is no municipal refuse collection service. It's the community's responsibility to deal with their own rubbish. And I have driven past, I go all over, people making these little fires and everything. And you can imagine all that burning plastic, what that's doing to the environment. Somebody's got to deal with that. Someone's got to deal with these pads, and everybody else's stuff, and nappies. That's another thing. And often when we were at school, we had these nice sandy bins, and somebody would collect them and take them and bring them back empty. You don't have that in rural areas. So girls are forced to do whatever they can with the stuff. It ends up in the main dustbin, it ends up flushed in the toilets. And when they've got pit latrines or pit toilets, they just throw it down there. And it doesn't break down like organic matter. So the whole thing just fills up so quickly. So now you've got a humanitarian problem and an environmental problem. Because now the toilet becomes unusable. So now what? Now they've got to build a new toilet. And these are all the problems that people don't realize, with handing out. And it's lots of people who rush off to rural areas with tons and tons and tons of disposable pads. And I ask them, are you going to go and fetch them again? And they look at me like I'm crazy. It's true.
Yeah.
Who's going to fetch it?
Yeah, I do know about the health issues around pads, but even just ladies using tampons is not recommended. I don't know if you ladies know that. I use organic biodegradable, but it's still not recommended to use tampons. It's actually much healthier to allow your body to bleed out and not keep that blood inside of you. So I don't know if you ladies know that, and I did not know about your wonderful Palesa pads until now. So I'm very glad that I discovered them, but it really is the healthiest, most conscious choice that I've actually discovered. So I was so excited when Lauren brought you to us, because I think that this is wonderful. And the fact that it is in Ackerman stores means that they are available readily across South Africa. So I think that if anybody does go and buy themselves a Palesa pad, please do tag us on social media. We would love to see that you have gotten them.
Hashtag picture with your pad.
Yes, hashtag picture with your pad. Tag Susanna, tag Lauren, tag the Future Females Show. We want to see, and of course, Palesa Pads. We would love to know that we helped you find a solution that is not only healthier for you, but healthier for our planet as well. And also so serves women? Because I love that you
Absolutely.
care so much about your staff. Lauren and I have discussed this endlessly, but we know that, women in domestic abusive relationships, the biggest barrier to exit, for those of you that don't know, is finances. That is generally the biggest barrier to exit. So if they're earning their own money, they have the power, they are empowered to leave their abusive situation. So I just take my hat off to you.
Yes,
a
thank you
million
so
times.
much. Thank you for your time.
You're
I
welcome.
think
Thank you so much.
I think what's exciting for me, and I know we did just challenge everyone watching to try, but what is exciting is also having seen the product. I think any conception that something biodegradable is therefore not going to look as nice, or the experience is not going to feel as good. And the way that you have designed this product with love, with women in mind, with aesthetics in mind, at, I believe it's under 5 Rand, so 40 cents a month is the alternative for Palesa Pads?
For Rand, so a bucket like this, which contains 6 pads,
insane.
plus some washing powder, some soap, some vinegar, plus a drying clip. I can show you that if you want. So that whole kit works out to R4.98 per month.
Which is amazing, both for investing in for yourself, but also if you want to give back through Palesa Pads Foundation and really support the girls who can't actually even afford that per month to get back into schools those 4 to 5 days a month. So, Sherie, I think last question is there anything else you'd like to say and leave our audience with?
I think it's just, fall in love with your body. Don't listen to this nonsense that people have told you that period blood is dirty. I mean, for heaven's sake, it sustains a newborn baby. How dirty could it be? It's nature's original fertilizer. It's not dirty. It's not smelly. It's not a waste product. It's none of those things. It's what you said, to begin with. It's, if it wasn't for periods, none of us would be here. Every single one of us, men and women, owe our lives to a period. Because if our moms didn't have a period, they couldn't have fallen pregnant with us. So I think it's about time that we start showing periods and the women who have them the respect they deserve.
I love
Absolutely. Yes, love it.
Thank you so much. That was so
Thank you.
empowering and so insightful. I really do believe that your words, everything that you've shared, is something that women can walk away with, and men that are watching this, and feel like they have a better perspective on what a really, truly sustainable business is, and also what they can personally do to make a better impact on their environment and their own lives. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sherie. Thank you for your time and
Thank
for
you,
sharing
ladies.
so openly. Appreciated.
And to everybody
Absolutely.
watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Susanna Kennedy, and this is Lauren Dallas. And we will see you again soon.
Thank you all. Bye.